Welcome to Fite Sports Uncovered. I'm your host, Mark Joubert, and thanks for joining us in yet another fascinating show. Joining me today is a man that, all I can say is he's a guy of truly amazing resilience. He's a former athlete. He has gone through some amazing stuff in his life. He's experienced some amazing things as not only an athlete, but as an individual. Ethienne Reynecke, thanks so much for your time.
Okay.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you.
For the viewers out there, I want to start this off and I want to take you back to a time long before. I'm talking 2016. I want you to picture the scene. Monday night, Thursday night, 6:15 at night, your phone would start ringing. And that would be me on the other side, and we were going to then spend the next 10, 15 minutes talking rugby. We were going to talk build-up, we were going to talk analysis of the weekend's games. If you think back to that time, that must almost be like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, it feels like years ago. It was like, on most Mondays or was it Tuesdays, and then I'll just give you my opinion after, especially then there was still Super Rugby. Just to show you how the world has changed, there's no Super Rugby anymore. Varsity Cup is not in the start of the year, so, not just for myself, the world has changed massively.
Yeah, everything has changed, but those days I was doing radio, you were a rugby analyst, you were commentating Super Sport, you were still very much involved in the rugby game. You were still part of the Bermuda Sevens, I think it was, or the Bermuda Legends. You were still very, very much part of the game.
Yeah, no, I've always had a passion for rugby. And I went directly coming from Europe. Within a week after that, I got contacted by SuperSport if I want to become a commentator or try. Firstly, like everybody have to try, and it was at Craven a week, and it went quite well, and it immediately just grew from that. And I think it's the biggest thing is just because I've got a passion for the sport, and I love watching. I can like on a Saturday. And in those days, they're like easily there'll be rugby in the morning, and there's an afternoon, there's another 4, and I can sit and watch rugby the whole day. So if I can pay you to do that even as well, how bad is that? So yeah, life wasn't too bad. To be fair, at that time, 2016, 17, like anybody after being a pro sportsman, it's hard to turn over, like going from pro sport into work,
normal life,
your own business life. It's hard. But inside like that, it wasn't bad.
So, I also recall at the time, and just correct me if I'm wrong, but you'd gone for trials at WWE as well. It was one of the things that you were looking to venture into if you were deemed good enough.
Yeah, what happened, I was actually, to be fair, I already had a contract with the WWE, because what happened was there was a guy who was an old WWE legend, and I met him in Bermuda at the Classics, and he's like, how old are you? And so at that time I was 35, and he said, like, listen, like you're an unbelievable athlete, and they've been looking, they want to try being rugby as a triple T with that. And I've got a very good friend of mine, Todd Clever as well, that he was a captain of America as well, and they were thinking for something like that. And I said, okay, when you finish, they're going to pay for you, come for a week there, and let's see how I go. And it went really well. One of my heroes was Shawn Michaels, and he was a coach, bro, and he absolutely loved me. And the reason was it's just being how hard you used to hit on the things like I got no respect for my body. We're going to be like that. And then they gave me a contract with that, and that time, there's a couple of things between Trump and he made the visa very hard with that. Between that and Triple H thought, okay, they're gonna cancel that thing. That kind of, within a month, it went from, okay, this is gonna be beautiful to there's nothing. But that's life.
Yeah, 100%.
You have to adapt. You know, one of my principles that I live with, and even my kids knows that, is you don't live on assumptions. And that you saw that time as well. You can never make assumptions, and suddenly everything was just close. But yeah.
You talk about life, and you know, we're talking 2016, 2017, and 2018 then arrived, and life dealt you one hell of a blow. I mean, in a space of 1 year, you went through 3 absolutely, I mean, terrifying things for any human being to go through, just one of them. I mean, you ruptured your spleen, and it was around about that time, WWE.
Yeah, that was right after that.
You had a stroke, and then you found yourself in a situation where you were shot in the head when you confronted someone in a store who was looking to rob the store. All of that took place in the space of 2018. For someone that had barely spent one night in hospital, you found yourself months and months in ICU, in hospital. I mean, as a mindset, as a reboot of someone's life, you're talking about life happening. What was that like for you in terms of what was going on up here?
Yeah, that was November 2017. I was there at the Classics in Bermuda. It's lovely, 10 days, and from there I went for a week at the WWE. Came back, did some kickboxing. Between all of that, I think I got a shot on my spleen, and I left it. You know, I had my stomach was always sore, and I just thought, okay, this is just stress. Because at that time, I was kind of, I would say, running my own fun, but I was a trader on my own money, and I've got about 5 clients about it as well. So I thought, no, it's just stress. Like anybody in life has got it. And on the 3rd of December, just Sunday, just my body, my system just stopped, and I couldn't even move. I literally couldn't move. And I'm going to a hospital, and there I was for 36 days in the ICU with my spleen, and they wanted to cut my spleen out, and same with my finger, but I didn't want to cut off. When I said, "Bro, you're not cutting anything out. Let's see if I can save this thing." Yeah, and that was January, and then August. You know, I was at that time I was I was going through a divorce, and my kids, my ex wanted to move into Durban, and my kids was there as well, and I was there, and I went wrestling. Some of the guys want to do some wrestling and grappling, and I remember this was very hot, and coming back from a shower, and you know, then stroke hit me, and like I remember when it hit me, but you don't know what it is, and I'm going to lie down a little bit, and went to do a semi-coma, and you know, there again, 2 weeks in the ICU in a coma. Yeah, I survived that. That's also a thing, but I definitely should not have survived that. Like, one of my players, the guys at the actual, you know, World Cup winner, he called one of the doctors, said, "Listen, what's going on?" He said, "No, but you're not going to make it, so you should go say hello if you can." Yeah, and then about 2 months later, in December 2018, yeah, I couldn't even, then I can't speak, read nothing.
So you were still recovering from the stroke at that point?
And, you know, the worst, the long place, a long time, a worst time, and the worst place you could have been. Yeah, you got, till to this day, like, I don't know how I wasn't killed, because you can't, how can you not shoot buddy, what do you call, shot, like, I still believe he didn't want to kill me, and then after, when the first shot came, then if you go to CCTV, he comes running to go shoot you, so it's a bit different then, and yeah.
So, 2018, you went through some of the worst stuff any human being could go through. Here you're sitting today, I mean, you still, you and I have spoken, you still suffer a little bit with aphasia,
yeah,
with your speech. your hearing, memory's also a little bit of a problem. All of the things as a result of the coma, and probably everything all lumped together. But that's not where the story ends for Ethienne Reynecke, because life carried on. As you said, life carries on. You've got this mantra that life carries on. You've got to just carry on. You've got to just make it work for you, because no one else is going to do it for you. And you decided on that. You dive deep into work, you dive deep into training, obviously rectifying yourself, getting yourself better with your speech, improving all the aspects that the stroke had obviously impacted in your life. 2020, March, you stepped into a cage only to walk out as the South African champion at the Amateur Nationals in the light heavyweight division. I mean, what a turnaround in a space of, let's call it 18 months.
Yeah, that's, I got in the start of February, I was in a Cape Town tents, which that is basically just a big party. Like, you play rugby, but you have a party, and I get a call, and a friend of mine, Justin Verrier, he said, listen, why don't you compete in the SAs? Because they always like, it gives me a bit of shite, where he goes like, yeah, you were never a Springbok, so I'll give you there's a chance for you to be a Springbok. And I laughed at him. I said, listen, firstly, I'm old. Secondly, I had a stroke. And then, I thought about it, and I said, yes, my biggest thing is I don't feel sorry for myself. Nothing. And I said, okay, let's do it. Why not? So now I had a month to prepare for this. And that time I didn't really have a gym where I was training, so I went like kind of just at fitness. I trained a bit at Sloan. I did help to do I did some wrestling with him to compare some of other guys here and there. And there I go, and I just did it, you know what I'm saying, and like you said, when that happened and to be fair, and I'll be honest with you, that was actually good for me, because people don't understand, like, you got a new life. I had a completely new life. I lost everything, and I had to build a life up from this, and it was good for your confidence as well. I'll be honest with you, it's not a bad thing. And it was. Yeah.
Well, there you have it. The man that was formerly a top-end professional rugby player, going through some harrowing incidents, coming out of those, and ultimately walking away with the South African light heavyweight title at the National MMA Championships. We've got so much to talk about. Well, we're going to take a quick break. Don't go away.
Here we go! Recently insert that is on the net in guns. No touch. Oh, Holly Holm. Look at the ring. The big dog. Spear.
Welcome back to Fight Sports Uncovered. I'm your host, Mark Joubert. If you missed the very first part of today's show, the harrowing life and times of Ethienne Reynecke, former rugby professional, now turned South African national light heavyweight champion in MMA. How things can turn around in a space of just a short number of years. Ethienne, 3 life-changing incidents, which by all accounts, each of those would not have you sitting in front of us today, but yet here you are. 2020, you became the South African national champion in the light heavyweight division. That booked yourself a ticket to represent South Africa at 2020's World Championships, the IMMAF World Championships. COVID played a big part in that not taking place, not just for you, not just for the South African team, but for athletes all around the world. You haven't fought, you haven't stepped in a cage in competitive action since that day in March 2020. What have you been doing? I mean, we're coming up to the end of 2021, almost a full 2 years, and probably by the time the next World Cup comes around in January next year, almost 2 years since you've actually stepped competitively into a cage. What have you been up to?
Well, at that time, it's going to be after that, I was going to compete just a month later in Africans. Then September was going to be the World Champs in 2020, and obviously the pandemic happened. But that World Champ I was going to do that. So it was always in the back of my mind. And to be fair, directly after that, I mean, I was training, helping a guy like Dricus du Plessis. From at that time, he wasn't even a UFC, but we were training as if he's going to go there. You know, like I was actually sitting in this gym when kind of the first message came that he's going to fight his first UFC, and so I've been training ready for this, and now it's almost a year and a half. Finally, it's going to happen, but I've been preparing for that, you know, mentally, physically as well. So, which is actually, it's like almost a gift in my eyes. You know what I'm saying? Other guys like, it's not going to happen. For me, this is a gift. To give you more time to prepare. You know, so even though I didn't compete, and some of us camps that I've done prepare for other couple of guys is 10 times harder than any fight you can have in a cage, in an amateur cage. So yeah, now I've been making ready for this, and I'll be honest with you, this has been sitting in the bag for me. And now I'm, you know, it's literally like I've already now since it's about 2 weeks ago when they said, okay, this is now the day. You know, you already start seeing this action. You're anxious, not anxious, but you know, I'm on the end. You know, like you're like this already. So yeah, no, I'm excited. Yeah.
So you talk about that excitement. Last week, Monday, it was announced you're officially on the team to represent South Africa at next year's World Champs. Those are obviously this year's World Champs, which have been delayed until next year, January. The plan in your mind going forward, you talk about the anxiousness, you talk about the excitement to finally go and do what you've been preparing for. But I've got to ask the question, the stroke, does that not feature in the back of your mind? I mean, is that not something that you and your medical team and your team around you are worried about?
Absolutely not. You know, to give a guy a stroke, it's not made from they still don't know, but it's not from shots in your head. The worry is when you get, for instance, your main fluid that comes through it, you get shot like this. Now, 2 weeks ago, we were after gymming fitness, then I go into a session. At that time, Dricus was still preparing for his fight, as you see, and there I get submitted 50 or 60 times, like you were saying.
Okay.
So if you survive that, you will survive that. So no, bro, honestly, I'm not worried about it at all. That's not my journey. Is to inspire people, and I want to show something. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard to explain for people. Like, yeah, I know what my skill level is, what it is, but people don't know. Normally in fighting, it's the same whether it's rugby, fighting, but people don't understand. There's a thing that you can't measure, but people that only watch the sport is character, heart. You know what I'm saying? How hungry are you for this thing? You know, I don't care who I'm fighting. And this guy's who going to be, what I'm going to fight is Russians. They said there's 7,000 athletes who's going to work to the top of that World Champs is. They basically pro. You know, like you saw, in between them, I have to call, and I'm working in between that. But bro, at least that guy, I'm hungry, like I will die for that now, because there's a reason that I want for that. You know what I'm saying? This is the end of my journey. You know what I'm saying? This is the end of my journey. So
when you say that, is this the end, irrespective of what happens at World Champs, will this be the last time you compete in MMA?
Yeah, because and I'll ask you quickly, and this comes in terms more about, think me as becoming why would I want to be a pro MMA fighter. There's absolutely nothing in it for me. Firstly, I know that like there's not this disrespectful, but there's no money of it. If you want to be a pro, you have to get sponsors with it. You know what I'm saying? And I respect pro MMA fighters too much to just say that you can be a pro. A guy that trains twice a week and then he go fights, let's say in the UFC, that's not pro in my eye. Pro is how I play when I was a rugby player. Or let's say I gave that CIT, I gave like Driekus, Mark Hume, I was like this. Those are guys that's the whole day they're training, you know what I'm saying? That is, and they sacrifice. There's way easier ways to make money than being a pro fighter. Trust me. And a lot of guys, they just want to be meat just to say that is a pro rugby player. You know what I'm saying? But it's got very bad. Do you think if you had 4 fights pro and you lost
all of them,
2 or 3, but that's in my eyes, that's not pro. You know what I'm saying? Like when I do it, I never want to lose. You know what I'm saying? That's even when I'm amateur, I don't lose. You know what I'm saying? So for me, that's why I say that's the end of my journey for you.
but the story, the inspirational story that you bring, the stroke awareness,
Yes.
that you want to keep that message going.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something. Hopefully, that's going to carry on forever.
Yeah, and for me, like that's my journey. My journey is like the message for me is just don't feel sorry for yourself. Firstly, you must live with gratitude, because the problem is, and we people, it's very easy to feel sorry for themselves. You know what I'm saying? And they see what they don't have, and rather what they do have. You know, and for me, it's just you have to inspire people. Firstly, that just keep going, my man. Don't feel sorry. Yeah. So for me, that's my journey for this, and for me, my journey for that is not being a pro MMA fighter. Is I want to grow the sport. So people that never watch at MMA start watching this because of me, because they know I'm an old rugby, but I know who I am in terms of rugby, and now I'm trying to mix the two. So, and how I see it now is and I'll give you an example. I don't want to say the names, but there's a Springbok. He was a Springbok. He still plays pro rugby. He plays for in a team with the Bulls, and he wants to fight when he's swinging. So already going to help, like helping to prepare for something like this. The idea for me is I want to grow the sport, because there's unbelievable athletes, rugby players, which a lot of them don't even make it. They don't even make it. But now I realize, okay, bro, there's another option for another sport. You know what I'm saying? So now you just, that's how I say you want to grow the sport with that. And so yeah, that's also kind of my journey as well with that.
I want to talk a little bit about your book. You recently had a book published. Tinus van Staden spent some time getting to know you, talk about this journey. What was the thinking, the feeling behind putting the book together? And the book's name is Ratteltai.
Yeah, firstly, like people must understand the difference between a biography and an autobiography. It's a biography. Somebody else wrote it.
Someone else wrote it, yes.
He did an article for me, in a report of me, and a couple of months ago he said to me, listen, he wants to write a book. And I said, what? About what? He said, about you. And I started laughing. He said, no, he's serious. I said, okay, well, if you want to miss your time for that, that's your problem. Bro, I had twice coffees with him, and what he did is, like, he actually just contacted old friends of mine, everything, to get the story and the timeline, and he used news articles, Instagram, things like that to get a timeline, and he colored it like literally, it's not a biography, it's a story, and it's almost like a love story, like no jokes, like it's a story about how I met Claire, which I met her 2 months after I had a stroke. I couldn't be able to speak, and I'm going to marry her. There's things like that. So yeah, and Tinus is an unbelievable journalist. And yeah, so it's a love story more than anything.
Well, I mean, first of all, congratulations. I mean, to go through what you've gone through, to get a book out, literally unpacking these years that we've just been speaking about now, the fact that you've got a couple months left of training ahead of your inaugural MMA World Cup for IMMAF, for South Africa at an IMMAF tournament. We wish you all the best. Yes. Final thoughts. A lot of people, young people, old people, girls, guys, are going through a lot of tough times at the moment. What would your message, based on your experience, be for what they're going through right now?
Yeah, that's you know, like we said, the world has changed. You know, especially the last year and a half, the pandemic has made it hard for a lot of people. And that's why people always like to ask, you know, why would you climb into a cage, you know, to do that? That's easy. Sport is easy. Real life is hard. there's that battle, there's guys that have battles like that every day. So like I said to you earlier, that it's not just don't feel sorry for yourself, you know, and work with what you got and live with gratitude. You know, that's the biggest thing. I promise you, if you can live with gratitude, you change your mindset already, and be more positive. Then you'll see how your life will change as well for that. So yeah, in terms of sport, like young guys coming in, bro, and this is, bro, like I said, I'm 39, I'm always 40. 25 years old, 22 years ago, people told you, you're too small, you can't play it. Where was I? 25 years of pro rugby player. So people just never think you can't do anything. It's in your old hands. It's the power is in your own how to empower yourself. So.
As I mentioned at the top of the show, truly resilient individual, Ethienne Reynecke. Thank you so much for your time. It's been awesome chatting to you. It's been awesome seeing you again. Absolutely fantastic. Truly inspirational message for all of you. We're all going through something. Hopefully you can get something out of what Ethienne has said. For the folks here at the yard in Four Ways, thanks so much for allowing us into your home. It's been great being here. And for everyone else, we'll see you next time. Until then, defend yourselves at all times. We're out.